topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Talk. I'm Wendy Stewart, your hostess with the mostest, or your host with the most, however you see it. Great to be here with everybody tonight. I'm coming to you live from New York City, but as most of you know, Triversity Center is based in Milford, Pennsylvania, where I have to tell you, I went out there for the 4th of July, and Friday night, I tell you, I got one of those alarms, like that, and I saw on my phone that we were going to have 80-mile-an-hour winds, okay? And being a New Yorker, I looked at that and I said, what is all this drama about? Well, within 3 minutes, I changed my tune because all of a sudden on my deck, the umbrellas became airborne and were flying through the air. The sky got pitch black and dark, and I have giant trees. I'm in the woods. The trees were swaying back and forth. You know what? It was all like, it was very Gone with the Wind. However, it wasn't for the faint of heart. So I did what anyone would do in that situation. I got my phone out and I called the local Best Western and was able, thank God, to secure a room that night with my Chihuahua, Nugget. So Nugget and I spent the night in the hotel. We had no power in my house. It was 90 degrees and pitch black. And you know what? Not for the faint of heart. So there you have it. I want to just thank everybody who joined us for Paddle for Pride, because it was New York City Pride. I was not able to make it, but we had a tremendous turnout. And it really goes to show you the amount of support that we have in the community, and people really had a good time. You can find the wonderful pictures from Paddle for Pride on our Triversity Facebook page. And while we're talking about Triversity, I want to keep you aware of upcoming events. The biggie is August 2nd. We're having Pike County Pride in Milford, Pennsylvania at Acconack Park. Again, I always tell people, go to our website, but really go to our Facebook page because that updates, I think, a little quicker. We also have an Instagram page, so you can find out anything you need to find out about Triversity if you go to any of those locations. Okay, there, I got that all out. Now, my guest tonight, I have adored this person from the moment I saw them. Their artwork is just so completely incisive. Okay, they're here tonight to share their artistic journey with us. Many of you who tune in from the New York City area have participated in a project that they did called WOE. It's called Wall of Emotions, a massive project of photographing people, and they would each pick an emotion. I was one of them. Okay, mine was hope. Of course it was, right? Because I see the glass always half full all the time. And the impression that you get when you walk into the room and you see this wall of emotions with everyone's expression and what they're feeling. Some people had fears, some people had worry. It was anything that a person was feeling, one emotion about what's going on out there, right? Because we all, as a collective group of human beings, are experiencing a range of emotions right now. So I would like to welcome our amazing guest, the artist, Ava Mueller.
Hi. Oh my God. It seems like my hair is a green screen when I put the background on. My head is cut off.
You know what? It's absolutely perfect. Now I will have to share with our audience the challenges. Ava is so busy, has work going on all over, and was kind of double booked. And we really wanted this interview to happen. So Ava is the first person to do the interview on location. So that's kind of exciting, right? Now you just put your earbuds in. Can you hear me? You're not
Yes,
hearing
I
me.
can. Can you hear me fine?
I can hear you fine. I must say you're very, very adaptive. I'm like in the same location every week. And you know what? There you were. You tuned in, walking down the street, looking fabulous, I may add, as always. And
See,
there is
no head.
okay, now we have no hair, but we have the wall of emotions. This is great. Don't do anything. It's just perfect. Okay.
Okay.
First of all, welcome you to the show. Really, really great to have you here tonight. You work primarily with photography, video, and of course, mixed media to create immersive and interactive installations. Ava explores themes of gender, identity, and social constructs through their work. So here we have a perfect example right behind you. That's really great. How did you do this?
The backdrop?
Yeah, I have no idea how you managed to pop that up and put yourself in front of it and scalp your own green hair in the meantime.
That was unforeseeable. Well, there is a settings button, in that platform, and then there's visual effects, and you can then change the background.
Well, you are far more advanced than I am because, like you can see, I have an extremely humble background. So, Ava, we first met like what 2 or 3 years ago at was it Howell Gallery?
Probably. We have so many friends in common, so I feel like I've seen you a long time, but until we finally talked, Pangea. I think we started talking at
I
Pangea.
think we talked to Pangea, and then I saw you at you have work at Leslie Lohman. I saw you at a Leslie Lohman gallery event. And then I saw you at something with Tret Tierney. The two of you were showing together, artwork together.
That was probably a group show at the Soho Project space.
Thank you. It was the group show at the Soho Project. So you certainly get around. When did you come to New York?
April 7, 1989.
Wow. So you have been here since the late 80s. I don't know why our paths never crossed till now. That always amazes me. I've been here the whole time.
I wanted to be a fashion photographer so badly. So there is some overlap, but like most of my artist friends, they're like, East Village people downtown. And it was a different crowd. There was mostly.
Yeah.
So I feel I know most people when I transitioned in like really doing art. That's where really like my friends shifted.
When fine art photography. So I do know you started out, you went to ICP in Parsons. And you started out doing fashion and music photography.
Yeah, I really wanted to do fashion. And, I did it for long enough until I lost the passion for it for, a number of reasons.
So I have to ask you that because I do want to go that far back. What made you lose your passion? Because as you know, my late husband was Alan Kaplan, the fashion photographer. He too lost his passion. What made you lose your passion for fashion photography?
It was a very specific moment. I was in this, I had a studio share in the Starrett Lehigh building, great view. And, it was all great. And I was depressed. I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized that I had just sold my first big, art photo to a collector that got introduced to me by a friend, and he bought this like male nude, a big iris print, and I had just finished yet another editorial where I put all my blood, sweat, and tears in, and then you usually get a shitty tear sheet back, and everybody moves on after 5 seconds. Flipping through that
shitty tear sheet back, and you really have to scrape to get that shitty tear sheet back.
So when I thought about that picture that guy bought from me is probably up for a while, longer than these people's attention span, and then they move on to the next. And that moment when that sank in, I'm like, I'm done. Either you pay me money, but I'm not like, busting my chops anymore to like get this fashion editorials, because it was that I had good work in London. I mean, more better paid and more commercial. But then the agency closed, the whole business changed, and I just was ready to move on.
The
But
whole
that was that moment.
You're so right. And I love talking about that time. What years are you specifically talking about?
Well, that was in 2000, 2006, 7,
Yeah, and you know
2006.
the bottom fell out of everything in 2008 and it became a totally different business. So you were almost fortuitous, Eva, in recreating yourself, although you had been doing fine art photography, but then you knew that that was what you were going to be doing.
And guess what? That photo is still on that wall in that guy's house.
Exactly. And you proved your own point, right? Those shitty tear sheets, who knows where they are? I love that you said shitty tear sheets. I
Well,
have
shittily printed, I mean,
they are.
the photos are nice, but then it's like really like, but
I know.
from your husband.
I
Yep.
do. I've got stacks of, like, you probably know Zoom magazine, and I've got stacks in my back room here of all the European magazines he worked for. And yeah, that's what you're left with at the end of the day. And you brought out a really good point. When you create a piece of art that is a piece of fine art, an image like that, it lives into eternity and it's on somebody's wall.
And when I put that together, I remember that moment, literally that moment I was sitting looking out to, seeing the Hudson River from that 12th floor studio in the Stair at Lehigh. And I'm like, that's it. And then I figured out why I was not happy anymore. I'm like, because I didn't know anything else, it's like, oh, fashion photography was my thing until it wasn't. So I'm glad I'm glad I changed things.
Right. Was it so, as a fashion photographer or a commercial photographer, you get used to the money coming in? Was that a big change for you? Because you kind of took a jump off a ledge, going in the other direction. What did that feel like?
It was not so much a jump, because in New York, like, I never made the money that I made in England. And in England, like, when my agency closed in 2005, I decided to focus, on New York. And I was still doing, like, shooting a lot of DJs and, doing that type of work. But it was also, and I was a little bit lost. I'm like, what am I doing, if I don't do, fashion and music? And moving to Bushwick in 2012, that was really when I immersed myself in a different environment. And then when I started meeting people in galleries, so there was a gap where I don't remember what I did, anything that came my way.
That was a really pivotal time. Your timing on your career really, and I tell this to people all the time, go with your gut, go with your instinct. Your timing was really pivotal. Okay, because Bushwick was and still is, of course, happening.
It is. It's a great neighborhood. I really, really enjoy being there.
So did
But
you
there was
start in galleries there initially, or the Lower East Side?
Sorry, what did you say?
Where did you start showing initially, in Brooklyn or the Lower East Side?
It was some Bushwick galleries, because there were so many galleries. In my neighborhood, there is this building 56 Bogart, and that was full with galleries, and you really felt like you're in the middle of what's happening in the art world. And so that was awesome. So I made some contacts. I started being in group shows. And then do you know Christopher Stout? He was like a very,
I don't know Christopher's work.
so he had the gallery in Bushwick, and he was an excellent curator. And so he was also like an important person, in my, becoming an artist, a serious artist, and do my work.
Right. And getting your work out there, that's really, really the whole thing. And then, of course, you never looked back. So I want to start with you. Like, first of all, what I read about you, you're Bauhaus influenced in and how you shoot.
Well, it's an aesthetic that always resonated with me. The philosophy of Bauhaus, the less is more philosophy. I always liked, like, the style, and so it's just my lifelong inspiration to whatever I would do. Like even when I was doing fashion, I was always looking at those photos. So
Right.
that's it.
And you started, I know you were born in Germany. Where, oh, you have it on. That's great. Could you show us that again? That's
So
fabulous.
that's the logo until they moved to Dessau. That was the original Bauhaus logo. And sometimes people, when they say like, "Oh, Bauhaus," I know they refer to the band that ripped
Right.
off the name and the logo. But
Turn around
sometimes.
like that. Oh my God, my arm looks so uninteresting compared to yours. Let me just put that back there. So you grew up in Germany. Where in Germany are you from?
I'm from a historic town close to Munich in Bavaria. So it's kind of like New York and New Jersey or Jersey City, because Munich is very close and my hometown is much, much older. It was like the place in the 1600s and
I
1400s.
I was
But
going to,
then, like,
yeah,
it became like, it sank into relative unimportance, which is kind of crazy. But so, and then I lived in Munich for a few years.
sure.
Uh, and then I came to New York.
And then you came to New York from. It's funny that you settled in New York because New York must have spoken to you the way it does. I grew up here, okay, so I have a past, but I admire people that can come here, especially from another country. You know, I know you probably had English in school, but you're still going to a different country, having to use a different language, and you're in a place that's not familiar. However, there are people like yourself that come here and you're embraced because you're a perfect fit. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I arrived home. I came in 88 to check it out because I didn't know anybody here. I had, like, like one contact. And I remember, like, I was here for a month to check it out, and on the way back, I was sitting on the plane. I'm like, I have to move here. This is like, I belong here. And I still feel the same, with all the ups and downs the city went through. But I'm really happy here. It's just really my place.
Right.
I wish I had arrived earlier, but I'm glad I arrived at all.
Right. The thing is, you got here. It was interesting to me because, believe it or not, I really look at people's Facebook profiles. And I think when was it, last year that you were in Europe? You were met with a lot of the other artists, friends of yours. Was it last summer or the summer before?
I go every year to, like, see my Berlin artist friends, and then also see go to my hometown in Munich. So every year I'm with the same group.
Yeah, I was here in New York looking at all those pictures, and I know I put likes on it, even if I don't comment. And I thought everyone looks so interesting and so cool there, and it made me wonder, because I know you from here, what your feelings were, but you shared that, you love it here, I guess, as much as you love it there.
Yeah, and people often ask me, they're like, "Oh, how about Berlin?" And when friends
Right.
from New York or from the States move to Berlin, they're like, "Oh my God, this is like the place." But there are things being German that don't work for me. So I would not choose to live in Berlin for a number of reasons. It's an awesome city, like,
It is. I've been, and I'm surprised. I just figured when I didn't know anything about you, I knew you were German. I'm like, oh, I wonder what made them come here from Berlin. Now I find out you were from a 15th century village.
Well, the thing is, well, it was not a village, but it's a very old place. We were the pit stop for the Romans, So my hometown is over 2,000 years old, so there's a lot of history. But Berlin, when I grew up, it was like a half a city in a big prison country. It was in the
Yeah.
middle of East Germany, and I mean, you really didn't want to go there if you don't have to. I mean, they had a great time, but couldn't go anywhere. So it was weird. I visited once while Germany was still divided, and God, that was like crazy.
Right. And what you're describing is how I always felt. But then I remember when the wall came down, and I met a really great person here that I was modeling with in New York who was from Berlin, and they, once the wall came down, and they shared a lot of stories with me. But I'm very into EDM music, electronic dance music, and some of your most incredible DJs have come out of Berlin.
Yes, I photographed a ton of DJs over the years, not so many anymore lately, but yeah, and I love like house music and electronic music. So when
Yeah.
I was in England, I shot so many DJs. Had a lot of like jobs from record companies and DJ magazines.
But
So
how
yeah, it was
fun.
great.
That's like that what a fun career you have, right?
That was fun. Yeah, that was really fun.
And now it's definitely more serious, okay? Which brings me to your wall of emotions. It's serious, but you infuse wit and satire into your work. I can see it.
I
But
show this very quickly.
wait, I have to put my glasses on. Hold that up
That's like
again.
not safe for work. That's from an I see. Like I have to hold it like this. That's from the Flowers and Chocolate series.
Oh, right, right. So
So
yes, I would like you to take us through. Let's start with Wall of Emotions, and then take us into the other installations and series that you've had.
so Wall of Emotions is what occupies me the most. Even though I'm by nature, I didn't feel like I'm a political activist, but I guess you become one. You know, being somebody with a conscience. Uh, and that now oops, I disappeared totally. That's weird. So Wall of Emotions behind me is 280 portraits now.
Amazing.
So the last pop-up shoot, I gathered 55 new people. It's a real community project,
Yeah.
and I started it the day of the election results when I was still optimistic, and when I woke up and when I saw that the fascists won. I mean, I can only call them that.
No, that's
Um,
exactly what happened. Many of people that we know were completely immobilized, by the way. I love what your reaction was, okay? Because this is pushback. Your creation is pushback to what you saw that day.
And it's wild because it's the only project where I feel it channeled itself. It's like because I got out of bed, my friend, a friend, the first one in the project, came to console me. He's the one on the upper right, the one who's like literally in the upper right corner because they're hung chronologically. He came by to console me, and I was like, I'm doing this portrait series. You have to pose for me. And he was the first one. And that was when it was in November 7 or 8, like election results at noon. And I was just getting ready to show at during Art Basel in Miami at Satellite Fair, Brian Whiteley. So I was working on this gender puzzle and had it all mapped out. And with that win of the right wing party, I'm like, just nothing made sense anymore. I'm like, I have to show something in addition to that gender puzzle that's
Yeah.
something that relates to us and the community. And so I managed from November 7th to like December 6th, I think, when we opened, to have 60 portraits. And there is in one of the photos you see they're chronological. There's that wall in I said, but the photos I send you. So I had like a grid of 60 photos.
So just so you know, okay, I was able to take from there. You sent 27. We're showing 10. Okay, some are close up, but then there's ones of you standing in front of the wall. I figured you could, describe to us what's going on there. I'm curious. The very first person you shot, your friend, what was the emotion they had?
He said, um, I just want to kill all of them, but I want to stay kind. And so I chose, because at that early stage, I had not mapped out, oh, it has to be an emotion. So it's, I want to be kind is his emotion. And then like, as I was like thinking about how where do I take this visually and how do I do this, then it very quickly became Wall of Emotions. And then I think the second or third person I asked how they felt. But so he said, I want to be kind. He was so upset and so angry.
Yeah, yeah, but he wanted to be kind. And that's kind of hard to capture. I watched you do this process, and again, we're going to start to run the slides. I will cue my producer, but I watched you direct people on it, and it's very interesting when you watch what happens to somebody's face when they're when they're doing this. And then I do want to talk about your process, right? Because it's not just a photograph, you engineer it in some way after, which really makes it wow, what an impact. So,
So yeah,
yeah,
so it has a black and white and red language, which
yes,
is, it's a strong language because we're so divided. So black and white works better than just a regular photo. And the combo red, white, black is, is also something from the Bauhaus times. And so red is just like the right color for this. And so what I do is I photograph the people. I turn the photos into these black and white, no middle tone images that you see behind me. And then on the shoot, the person writes their emotion on a white piece of paper with a black marker.
yep,
And then I overlay that digitally. So I have a guide. So when I print out these images on fine art paper, then what's red now is more like a pale pink, and
yes.
then I retrace that with red ink. So it's just like I basically like follow the people, and then I add a hand painted element, whatever the picture asks for, a splatter, a brush stroke, something like that. So that's like makes it as a unique piece.
Yeah, they're each and every one of them is very unique. And, I thought to myself, because you've shot so many, I couldn't figure out what your process was, how you made them all so different. And each and every portrait is extremely impactful. You I visited the wall when you did the show at Howell Gallery. And I mean, you just walk up there and it's extremely riveting. Often when you go see art displayed on the wall, you look at it, you study it, but then you move on. It's very hard to move on from your wall of emotions.
Hmm.
I kept going back to the faces and the emotions, and I knew a lot of the people too, and what had happened in their faces on that wall. I'm gonna enough talking about it. I'm gonna have Juan start the slideshow. Okay. All right, Juan, you can bring up the first one. Thank you. Okay. Who is this? Puma
So
Pearl?
that's my friend Man Lai, and I included that because I include a photo of me photographing her doing this, so you can see how it happens, and that's the final result. So I don't know if that photo made it into the final cut. She's been a long time friend. She lives in the Chelsea Hotel. She's one of the tenants who could stay. She's an event producer, and she showed up to one of the early shoots at Maison 10. I think they were like the third ones to host me, and yeah, she was just like people were shell shocked, the early ones.
This one is like she's completely shell shocked and absolutely no comment. Um, I mean, the emotion is so strong in this. Like, what the hell happened? One, you could go to
Sorry.
the next one. Okay.
So I also added a picture of her, the final portrait, and she looks exactly like that in the photo I take. So that's why I should have collaged them together.
No, it's okay because you know what? Each part of this project, Davis, it stands on its own. There's nothing like this. So she looks very disappointed, very depressed.
Her emotion was exhausted,
Yeah, wiped out and exhausted.
and I shot that downstairs at Red Eye. There was like the sling was hanging there from the chain because it's a club
Right,
and a sex club, but
from the underwear party, the sling was still hanging. I love the backstory. That's great.
and because I can shoot that anywhere. I need a small corner, and that's it. That's the beauty of this project. I can set up in a corner, and I can just bring people together. I don't really need like a setup. And my setup is mobile and travels well.
Right, right, and you have to be able to move through it quickly too. You're putting people there. They're giving you the emotion, and then on to the next one. Okay, Juan, you can do the next slide. Thank you.
That's my friend Chuck Hedinger. That was from the Second Glass pop-up. And some people they channel positive emotions. I mean, mostly it's negative ones, but some people they're like, no, I don't let this get me down, and that's
Right.
nice. That's like, I really like this one.
Well, it's a
Are
very
you? Yeah,
telling.
you have hope too.
Yeah, but my hope had a little bit of sadness in it when I looked in my. I was hopeful, but cautiously hopeful. He is really. Look at the eyes. If you look at the expression in the mouth, he has hope. He's a positive guy.
But much more recent, like you were still when we were all did not know what, like,
Right.
where we're headed. I mean, now we're kind of not used to it, but we're seeing also good things. We're seeing wins.
The good things that we're seeing now, right, or is the pushback. And certainly, I always say this, we're very blessed to be in New York, seeing the pushback. But if you catch me on a day where it's been one thing after another, where he certainly has attacked the transgender community, I'm angry. And my anger, unfortunately, is directed towards the people that are responsible for him being there. It's crazy, right? That I feel that way, but I'm not even angry at him a lot of the time. I dismiss him, but I'm really angry at them. I want to
and,
say, how could you?
and the
And
people who are still haven't woken up. It's crazy.
they haven't woken up. And, I do my afternoon show. I had a gay judge on that show, very well known. And we were talking about this because the people still won't admit they made a horrible mistake. And the crazy stuff with the healthcare and the vaccines and all the nuttiness that's going on stems directly from this administration. And these people still, they're not going to say anything. It's amazing to me. It really is. Okay, one. I'm ready for the next one. Is that Jean? I love Jean. Fear.
Yeah, and it's I was actually surprised because him being the age he is and been through what he's been
Yes.
through. I mean that he he has fear. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think because of the age he's at, and all of us, well, including you were in New York when the AIDS epidemic was raging. We all lost so many people. We all lost so many, and we recovered from that, and only to have this come around and hit us in the face
Yeah,
at
that is
the end of
wild.
a pandemic. I mean, it was a double whammy in a lot of ways. Okay, I'll look at the next one. Thanks.
So this is just like a example of like a post. These two guys are real community builders. They are the owners of Maison 10, on West 29th
Of
Street, the
course,
concept store,
yeah,
and they were like, I'm really tight with Tom, and I think it was the second day I was just running errands, and wherever I stopped and knew a person, I'm like, I'm doing this series, and I just snapped Tom off the bat. And then a few days later they agreed to host a pop-up shoot because remember, I was trying to get that thing ready for Miami, as many
right.
portraits.
And
So it
this
was
is
like Red Eye hosted me, the gay church of the village, St. John in the Village hosted me,
St.
those
John's. I love
guys.
that church. Yeah.
Then Maison 10 hosted me, and then I got Henri on that shoot, and then when I brought them the print, so that's from that. And they had hosted the second pop-up in January.
Wow. Those are great. And I love, I was glad you sent me this one because I love them holding up their own portraits in front of their faces. Okay, well, next one. Thank you. On the next slide. Thank you. Oh, Nora, I love Nora Burns. This is great. Look at her face. Well, wait, she's holding her own portrait and then she's on the wall.
Yeah, she was. That was a shoot at my friend's store on Christopher Street, like the skincare store. Yep, where she came by to that one. Yeah, it's wild. Whenever I pop it up and I look at the portraits, I remember like every person distinctly. That moment when I photographed them.
Wow. Wow, that's great. Hers is apathy.
Yeah, because she said, I've been so many marches, so many fights, the AIDS thing, the gay thing. And she said, I feel like nothing mattered, and here we are. So she was really discouraged and felt the apathy.
She is still very much an activist. She's not, nothing matters, but she gets out there. She always does. A lot of people, as you know, just got beaten down by everything. They don't think they can do anything anymore.
But
So
that was also an earlier one, she was also like, what the fuck are we doing? So, we all collected ourselves after the first shock, I think.
the first shock, right? Okay, Juan.
That was the pop-up at I forgot how many I had. That was at on the Verge Festival at the Wild Project last year in March or April 2025. Heather Letier, Bob Krasner. That's actually Bob Krasner needs the credit.
Uh,
He connected me with Heather, and then she curated me into the wall behind the bar, and that was awesome at the On the Verge.
Heather's amazing, and Bob Krasner is a great person. He used to work for my husband.
Oh wow! Oh my God! You have to tell me
No,
those stories.
just never know where someone's going to turn up. I always take a picture at the end, but just bear with me because this is so cool. I'm going to take one now. This is like great. Thank you. Okay, we'll take the next slide.
So
All of,
this one, do you know the Fall of Freedom group?
I've heard of them.
So they provide with a template, so everybody is encouraged to use them as an umbrella for an activist art project. So that was a
Right.
pop-up I had at the Bushwick Community Darkroom, which sadly had to fold. They literally put out all these enlargers and stuff into the street this morning. Like, we really tried to save them anyway. So that was there in November, and the photo was taken at Howl, the big wall, and then I had that one day pop up at the dark room, and I used the Fall of Freedom as a umbrella for
For
that
that.
day.
And now they don't exist.
The dark room does not exist anymore. The Fall of Freedom people, they have I think there's a call to action on early October, and I'm trying to find a venue, confirmed, or the center or Judson Church, so I can do the next event, next vote
What's
pop up.
I was just at Judson Church for Ruby Rims. I love that church. That's an amazing place. That would be so great if you could do it there, right? Okay, the
Yeah, they
next,
seem very interested.
yeah, that would be great.
There was a nice article that Bob wrote. That pop up was the day of the inauguration, and it was bitter cold. It was crazy cold. It was at Brian Whiteley's um, Broome Street Gallery. And Brian Whiteley is also, he organizes a satellite fair in Miami where I showed it the first time. So he knew the project. He let me use the gallery on inauguration. A lot of people showed up, some trans people, and I did not see coming the war on trans people that started 20 minutes into
That
the
was the
Orange Clown speech.
target for them. I knew that was going to
I
happen.
didn't know. I'm such an optimist. I did not even think about that.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, it's still going on. They're still pressuring hospitals to give people's records up. What is this? A dictatorship? Yes, it is. That's exactly right. I want to just read over here, and I want to share. I woke up on November 6th and turned on my phone. Recalls non-binary artist David Mueller. I saw the news and went through a roller coaster of emotions. And so this wall was really born from your own roller coaster of emotions.
And the name came to me really quickly, because first the first thing was wall of something like wall of anger, but then I'm like, no, wait, that's kind of limiting. And then I quickly settled for wall of emotion, and I looked up woe, because I'm like, I'm not a native speaker. I'm like, I heard that word woe, and that was a perfect acronym.
It is really the perfect acronym. I didn't realize initially that wall was the wall of emotions. So we were talking, and that's what you said. I took it as whoa, whoa. This
Great distress, yeah, the meaning of woe, like seriously.
can I have the next one?
That was that day we were all bundled up, and yeah, that was a very intense day, that 20th of January, like goodness.
Yeah, everybody's in their heavy duty stuff. I, oh, was that it? This is so funny. You brought a show. Thank you. Somebody's playing very loud music there, wherever you are. Oh,
Wait
good.
a minute, Mike. Oh, so because in like 10 minutes I'm seeing that performance. I'm at the Perelman Arts Center, so they have a lobby concert.
You know what? This is all perfect. The lobby concert, the pictures behind, it's so totally you. Okay, I have to, before I get into your the projects that you've done, I have to ask. No pig nose tonight, no clown nose tonight, no mustache.
But I do have to go before 8 because that's when that
Okay,
performance starts.
is that okay?
Sorry.
Yeah, 3 more minutes. Hang out with me 3 more minutes and you'll be done. And we're going to wrap it up.
Perfect.
Okay, is that
Perfect.
for you? So,
So another pet project is my Epstein. You've
right.
seen that, in reflective letters. It kind of ties in a little bit with the administration is in bed with the perpetrators.
Absolutely. I've seen on Facebook people want to know where they can get those T-shirts. Can you share that with them?
Yes, so they can either hit me up, oh my god, on my Instagram.
Okay. It's what is it at Ava Mueller?
Eva Mueller Art.
Ava Mueller Art. Ava
And
Mueller
also
Art. Yeah.
art by them. Art by them is also for the T-shirt specifically. It's easy
Okay.
to remember. Art by them.
Art by them. But if they go to Ava Mueller Art on Instagram, they'll be able to find it, right?
They just have to DM me. Yeah,
Okay. And also now you're on Facebook as well, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want people to be able to find out. Those shirts are great. I would love to order one myself.
Happy to give you one. I also I also made like less political ones. I started one saying hashtag always something because
Right.
we all go through them. I
Right,
actually I
because
was almost
it's always
wearing
something.
that. Always something. And the other one is called Everything is Complicated and Takes Forever, which I haven't done yet, but this is the always something.
That's
Also
great.
in reflective letters.
This is great. You have good merch. I want people to be able to like get it. The Epstein shirt is just like amazing. Okay, just because we were
And
down
on the
to the.
back,
Let me see what's on the back there. What does it say?
Believe survivors.
Believe survivors, right?
And there is one that I'm giving to Epstein survivors that just says believe survivors, because that's a message that is most important, more important than just the Epstein.
Okay, Ava, real quick because we've got like 2 minutes left. Just take me through, a sentence about each. 2017, your gender fuck project.
That was a great project that started with me shooting drag performers, and then I started including also the trans friends. I didn't have so many trans friends, but I really explored there, and it's a large series of gender non-conforming individuals.
Gender non-conforming individuals, yeah.
And that was my first solo show at the Soho Project Space, which was then still affiliated with Leslie Lohman in 2017.
Okay, flowers and chocolate.
That is not safe for work. This is one of the images that talks about race, racism, sexuality, taboo, beauty. So that's a project that got informed by me hearing all these stories, what my black friends have to go through, my black male friends. And
Yeah.
I did never catch that in the fashion world because people just didn't talk
Right.
about that.
No, they
And
don't.
so I was just I wanted to do something from a female perspective and show like the black, the beauty of the black masculinity.
Black
And
masculinity.
so the flower is the wingman, so people can actually look at a erect big black penis with the beautiful flower and the beautiful lighting. And usually people, they totally get what I tried to say with that series. You can sexualize it if you want to, but you don't have to.
But
It's really about like what it means for the individual. You can go a lot of different directions with it.
sure. It's personal for the
It's very
individual. It's
personal.
very
Yeah.
highly personal. Sperm 2021.
That was a collaboration with Man Parrish.
Oh, I love.
Uh,
I have cassette tapes of Mem. I had to share this with you. I'm like, Mem Parish. I've got the cassette. I saved them. I threw out so many cassette tapes because we never played them. Mem Parish is amazing.
I met him. I had no idea who he was. I just met him at Manny from Sperm. He had the Sperm parties at the Cock. And this go-go boy who I met at Folsom in San Francisco said, "Oh, you should come to this party. I go-go dance." So I did. And there was Manny, like, big fat queen sitting and DJing, and we just bonded. And then I took all these photos. Nobody was ever allowed to take all these photos. I have all these crazy photos. And then he ended the party, and then we became friends. And then years later, I had all these pictures, and I thought that Sperm Party is part of New York's underground, like, queer nightlife. And I said to Manny, let's do an installation. I find us a gallery, and we did. There was a total immersive installation at the art club in Brooklyn that was also owned by Brian Whiteley and Joseph Lattimore. And they showed me that basement, and I'm like, I got something for you. And then Joseph said, I want to curate the show. And Manny came up from Florida. I'd already moved, and we recreated that whole thing. People were coming down, and they're like, the older guys, they were like, oh my God, I feel like I'm at the Anvil. Like, we had like
Right.
soundscapes, we had
You
the whole thing.
that
It was,
piece of the Anvil. That's so incredible. Ray, well, you were in New York when the Anvil was open. You were here then.
yeah, but I was not in those circles. I wish I was. I was
That
not
was the
that
circle I was
adventurous.
in. So a lot of people not left from those circles, as you can imagine.
I know. I wish. But so, yeah, I printed these photos, some of the photos in huge on banners, and then I cut them in strips like you would go through like the meat locker doors or like a car wash. And so she had to go through all these photos and meander through until you arrived in the middle. And Manny had like created a 6-hour DJ set. So it was a really awesome installation.
I
I was
can
up for
only
a month.
imagine what that 6-hour DJ set is like. Incredible, absolutely
It
incredible.
was good. I have it.
Do you have it? I'd
I
love
have
to hear.
that set. I can send you that. Yeah.
I would. Amazing. Okay, we'll finish up with my isolation, which you did in 2020 as a reaction to the pandemic.
Yeah, my isolation was exploration of self portraits, and I kind of like made myself take a portrait every day. I didn't do every day, but I did almost every day over the course. I think I got like 50 something, and it was some were planned, some were very intuitive, and because I was at home, but I had like my lighting and my studio and all the ingredients, so it
Right.
was really a self exploration.
Isolated at home. Well, you have been, first of all, a fabulous guest. I had no idea how we were going to do this, but I should know it's you. Of course, we're not only are we going to do it, it's going to be fabulous. You're going to provide background, green hair, and music, and of course, your amazing work. I'm so thrilled to have you on the show, and thank you to everybody who tuned in today. Go enjoy the concert tonight.
I will. I'm so excited. I'm seeing Julia. It's about like some the poison queen of Palermo. So I'm super excited.
Bravo,
So it's
the
supposed to be
poison, the
fabulous.
poison queen of Palermo. I really look
Thank you
forward to
so much.
I'll be going to Hell Gallery tomorrow night on Bowery. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, if you're around, meet me over there tomorrow night, okay?
I will. Thank you so much for having me on your talk.
It's
I'm
so
really,
great
really
to have you
honored.
on here. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of week and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye, Wendy. Thank you,
Bye.
Juan. Bye.